What's up guys, Peepo here, and today's video is going to be about this, the Epoch Lacrosse Dragonfly e30. This is the newest rendition of their shafts, the Generation 6, which they kind of advertised for being for 2016. They just pretty much released it. They sent out all the test and review shafts to the 382 crew, and this is just going to be my thoughts and basically overview and review of this shaft specifically, the e30. I haven't gotten to mess with any of the other shapes, so don't ask any questions about those. This is specifically the e30 that we're going to be focusing on today. And specifically, this one has a flex IQ of 5, which is right in the middle. I will be actually touching on what flex IQ is later on in the video, but let's get started with the first bit of technology that they've decided to incorporate. This right here, that they have all the technology that's actually involved in the shaft on the shaft so that you can look at it and then go look it up. But so the first thing is this right here is the torque box. Now, the torque box, if you want to compare to another sort of technology, is basically tapering. So what they do is they can control how thick the carbon fiber in the shaft is anywhere on the shaft. So if it's a section that needs actually a higher amount of protection so that it doesn't break or chip or anything like that, they are able to wrap a little bit more there or make it denser in with carbon fiber so that it's less likely to break. So basically what you're looking at is kind of like your mid area and maybe your top area are going to be for your top hand, and then where most shafts get hit is really right in the middle, because that's the usually the most exposed area of your shaft. But so it's tapering basically on the inside. You won't feel this tapering on the outside at all, but this is the torque box is basically supposed to be able to allow them to control the thickness at any point in the shaft in order to incorporate strength. So pretty nifty idea, and really cool that they're able to maintain the shape and balance of the shaft while doing that. So it's very cool technology involving that. Next is the reload technology. The reload technology is actually what it's specifically called, but this is actually the shaft's ability, and I'd like to say desire, to return to its original form. So whenever you go to shoot or pass or whatever, and you do it in slow-mo and you view it flexing, and you'll see it flex, that snap that you see, that's actually the stress and the elasticity, I guess you could say, of the shaft itself wanting to go from this to this again. So that is what the reload technology is. It's the particles and everything else that actually make up the carbon fiber and everything going from this to this in order to remain at the shape that it's supposed to, instead of staying back like this. Will you calm down? Just calm down over there. Hey, calm down. Alright, so moving from the reload, that actually brings us into the next piece of technology, which is the flex IQ. Now, whenever you get a different, you can pick and choose how much flex you want on your shaft. You can't like put a switch on and it'll have less flex or more flex. It's actually how flexible the shaft is actually built. So this shaft this one came with a 5 flex, like I mentioned earlier, and when you're actually trying to consider which flex you want, and it actually says on the little range right there at the top it says stiff, at the bottom it says soft, but the smaller the number, it's going to be, so like from 1 to 5, it's going to be more stiff than if you went from 5 to 9 or 5 to 10, but I don't think there's actually a 10 or a 1. I think it only goes as low as a 2 or as high as a 9. So the smaller number means that it will be stiffer, and then the bigger number means that it's going to be far more flexible. I wouldn't say like a noodle or anything like that, but you'll definitely feel the shaft go bend back and then return. You'll definitely feel that snap that is created from flex whenever the material tries to go back to its original straight shape because of the reload technology. And then that brings us into the, basically, I guess you could say the final thing about this shaft is the actual shape. Let's see if you can see that. That's the ergonomic shape. It's comparable to a flip grip shaft from Brine. If you ever remember those, they had very similar shape, but this one has a little bit more of a pronounced edges, like the edges here, which is actually the front. Now, the bigger side is designed to be the front side. The smaller side is supposed to be the back side, so it actually rests in the crook of your thumb, and you actually are able to wrap your hand around the shaft a little bit better to create a little bit more hold and a little bit more, I guess you could say, finesse control on the shaft, so that when you actually pull back, your fingers are able to wrap around it a little bit better. But more often than not, it'll feel a little small in your hands. Unfortunately, I originally had my Epoch Hawk on this shaft, but I've had the Epoch Hawk on too many wooden shafts to try and test it out, that I actually stretched out the plastic, so there was way too much head rattle. Now I have my NAS 2X on it, but that's the head that I decided to put on it that fits nice and snug. But that doesn't mean the shaft is too small or anything like that. It's just like with any other shaft. You're probably going to have to try and find the perfect match to put on the shaft in order to have little to no rattle. But if you were to compare this shape to a traditional shape, you can kind of see the difference. You can see it. Yeah, you can actually see all the way down to the end. But so this is your traditional octagon shape. This is the ergonomic or E30 shape. I don't believe that the ergonomic comes in a D-pole, so don't look forward to that. But as you can see, it's a pretty interesting shape. It's been used in the past, but I believe they've kind of gotten the shape down a little bit better. If you still want to get like metal when it comes to this shape, there are a few flip grips floating around out there, but if you can't find any and you want to actually have this shape, I would honestly suggest going with the Dragonfly E30. And that brings us into the actual aesthetics of the shaft. I really like this color scheme. A lot of people I've been seeing and hearing that they like the older one where it was like all black with the green and whatnot, but I feel this is very straightforward, pretty plain, and just easy on the eyes, really. Like, it's not super pronounced, but because the black has their 382 green surrounding the black, it really makes it pop pretty much, and I just like it a lot. The graphics are really just simple. They have the warranty down at the bottom of the shaft. Well, not the warranty, but the safety and warning, basically, label. So at the very top, with that sticking with aesthetics, they have an E30 IQ, and then it'll have the IQ number that it is, and then it'll actually have this little word back on the back where it'll show you where one hole is. I had to put another hole in order to incorporate the NAS onto it, as well as originally the Epoch Hawk. And what's really cool, if you look really close I can't really show you in the video. I don't know if you can see it. You can almost barely see it with the video. But it says right there on both sides, live, play, be, which is their motto basically, which I agree with. But thankfully, that little phrase is actually shown when I put on the NOS. It's shown just at the bottom here and bottom there. You can see the entire words. But on the Hawk, if you want to stick to all Epic, you put the Hawk on it, those words will still show. So that's a nice little feature that I like. This one is their sandpaper grit coating, so it doesn't really have a stickiness to it. It's just a sandpaper blast, so you can actually hear me moving the hand up and down the shaft. It's not smooth, but it's not like rough or coarse, so your hand can slide up and down it, but when you stop and actually grip it a little bit, it's actually going to hold on to the shaft pretty well. I've tried it with gloves on and it feels really nice. It's not too difficult to grip. I was out in the rain the other day with it for a short time to test out the grip in the rain, and it worked out pretty well. So Epic definitely came out with a pretty decent shaft when it comes to the E30, and I'm probably going to use this until it breaks or otherwise. But oh, speaking of breaking, these have a 1-year warranty, which a lot of companies don't offer that high of warranties anymore when it comes to your shaft or gear. So Epic, props to you for sticking with the whole 1-year warranty thing and being able to let people really try and make their shafts last, and if they don't, being able to help them out like that. So that is my overview of the Epic Dragonfly E30, guys. I really hope you got a little bit of knowledge, and I hopefully I answered some good questions. On a side note, I guess you could probably use this for face-offs and it'll feel really nice, but they actually have a face-off shaft. So you might actually want to look into any reviews or anything about that. That should be the F30. It actually has like a green area, 382 green hand area, so that you don't have to put tape on it and whatnot. And then it has different shapes. It kind of has like a teardrop shape at the top, I believe, and then an octagon shape at the bottom. But that's for somebody else to review because I don't have one. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed, and I will catch you later.